right, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vidz, and this is the Ankle Breaker Podcast, episode 11. I am pleased to announce that I'm joined by special guest Nick from Australia this afternoon. Nick, so how you been? And thanks for joining the show again.
Mate, it's an honour and a privilege to be on the Ankle Breaker Podcast for the first time in 2022. I believe it's your second one of the year.
Yep.
It's good to be on your channel once again, Pro Enzo Vidz. You're a great friend of mine, and it's an honour to be here with the great man himself, Pro Enzo Vidz.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the rap there, bro. I appreciate that. So obviously today, there's not really much going on in the NRL at the moment, obviously because, there's not much topics around, but I have managed to find a couple we can talk about, some interesting ones. Obviously by the thumbnail, you can tell two of them what we'll be talking about. So yeah, it should be a decent episode overall. Before we get in, ask Nick, so what's your content plan for the week? Like what videos you bring out for the week?
Oh, it's a big week, mate. I've got a lot of things planned up this week. So tonight I'll be doing another Rugby Live 4 live stream with the Dragons career mode, round 2. That'll be happening about probably 7 o'clock tonight. So in about 2.5 hours from now. I'll also be doing a members-only video, which would be my 2022 early predictions for members only. So that'll be coming out tonight as well, probably around 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock tonight or something like that. And then tomorrow, there'll be another live stream tomorrow, probably some more Rugby Live 4. The podcast will be this week as well. The late night show will be Saturday night. Plenty of things to get into. This All-Star in the Super League's not far away now, so lots of things to rip into. Tonight's going to be a busy one as well. And, mate, the channels from your channel and my channel, they're both going to go insane this year. They're going to go through the roof. So, big week for me. I've got a couple of things. And obviously, right now, coming on the podcast with you, the Dragons live stream for Rugby Live 4 at 7. And then the members-only video at about 8:30 or something tonight. So, big night for me.
No, that sounds good, actually. I'm looking forward to your Dragons career mode. I watched it yesterday, and how Moses Sulu scored that try was unbelievable right in the end.
We didn't know all about Moses Sulu from Manly, so awesome try.
Yeah, he can do that. For me, pretty much it's going to be a couple of videos. So obviously after the podcast ends, 2 hours after it finishes, my Super League 2022 ladder predictions will come out. So that'll be premiered on the channel.
What time will that be out?
That will be at 7 p.m. So
Beautiful.
that'll be premiered then. So hopefully you can all tune in by then as well. And then during the week, I'll be bringing out my Indigenous and Maori All-Stars teams for the All-Stars coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So that should be good. The content will be definitely pumping out this week. I've got no doubt about it. But you know what? I don't know about you, bro, but let's time to rip in, eh? Time to rip into the podcast. All right, so the first topic we'll be going through is that the Nelson Osofo-Solomona situation. So obviously, Nelson, he is reluctant to be getting the vaccine. Obviously, he is one of those people who, like Asiata, don't want to get it. So he's obviously going somewhere else where they don't mandate it. So the talk is that he'll be going to Japanese rugby in 2023 full time. He might leave early, might get an early release, you never know. But, it's a bit of a messy situation because obviously, the NRL is trying to convince all players to get vaccinated so they can, protect the game and other players and all that. But just unfortunately for Nelson, he's different to it all, which is fair enough. And, it's a bit of a mess. And big loss for Melbourne going forward if that's the case as well. So, Nick, what are your overall thoughts on it? Personally, I reckon it's a bit all over the shop. But, what's your general thoughts on the whole Solomona situation?
I totally understand where Nelson's coming from. I mean, if he doesn't want to get jabbed, then fair enough. You can't be forced to have a vaccine go into your arm if you're not comfortable with it. Some people don't want to get jabbed, and fair enough. They can't be forced. You can't just say, "Oh, if you don't get jabbed, then I think you're an arsehole." It's your own choice at the end of the day, and fair enough for Nelson. If he does end up getting the disease, the Chinese virus, COVID-19, then that's on him. He has to deal with the consequences of that if he does get the virus. But it's his decision. I see where he's coming from, and fair play to him. I mean, He's obviously very passionate about it. He believes in it, and he's not going to be allowed to play for the Melbourne Storm anymore, or in the NRL in general, really. So, fair enough to Nelson. Wish him all the best. But going over to Japanese rugby, again, Jordan Rapana tried it. But here's an outside back, didn't work. Will Chambers tried it as well. Another outside back didn't work. Nelson's a front rower. He's a forward, so it might actually be a bit better for Nelson to play in the forwards. It might be a difference. It might go right over it. Japanese rugby, I don't watch rugby union personally, so I don't really understand the game a whole lot. All I know is it's boring as hell. But if Nelson, a Solomon, is going to go over to Japan and play Japanese rugby, and that's what he wants to do with his career, fair play to him. I mean, it's not much you can say. He doesn't want to get jabbed. Fair enough. It's not mandated over there for Japanese rugby, then whatever. But Nelson's choice is Nelson's choice, and obviously every other player's been jabbed. Basically, it's the same as John Asiata. He hasn't been jabbed, and he's now no longer playing. He's going to work in construction or something, I believe. And Nelson's not going to play, so fair enough. I can understand where he's coming from, and I can understand where the Melbourne Storm and the NRL are coming from, but they're not going to put up with it anymore. So fair enough.
Yeah, no, well said, actually. I definitely agree with that. What I think about it, I think, it's fair that he doesn't want to get vaccinated because obviously if he's against it, then, that's fair. Obviously his beliefs are pretty high and why he doesn't want to get it. So, I can't really dispute any of that. But, I guess either way, it's a bit of a loss to the Storm, obviously.
Definitely.
Obviously, I saw a stat the other day, actually, that when Cameron Smith was playing, they won 95 or 93% of their games. And with Nelson, when he was playing with Melbourne, they won 92% of their games. So obviously that does show something when he's playing for Melbourne. But yeah, I think him going to Japanese rugby is interesting. Like I would have thought, he would have done something else besides Japanese rugby. Look, I'm not really a fan of rugby union overall. I don't really get the sport. Too many rules for me to actually understand, I reckon. But he's gonna have an opportunity over there, have a crack over there. So all I can say is good luck to him over there, and hopefully it's a good transition from this sport NRL to union. But yeah, I think either way, Melbourne will find someone to replace him. Melbourne are that good of a system; they'll go into the Queensland Cup and find.
I'll tell you who's going to replace him right now. I'll tell you, I believe Max King is not Max King, sorry, Josh King. He was at the Newcastle Knights last year off the bench a fair bit. I believe Josh King going to the Melbourne Storm off the bench is going to be a very good signing for Melbourne. So I'm going to back Josh King to have a really big year at the Melbourne Storm this year.
Yeah, I like that, bro, actually. I like that. He's been around for a couple of years now. Been playing for about nearly 7 years. Hasn't really, hit his straps yet, in my opinion. But, he's at Melbourne
now.
Exactly, he will now because he's got a good system, and I think with game time he'll get better. So I can definitely see that. But yeah, look, I guess it's lost for Melbourne, but like everyone's saying,
they'll be fine.
They'll be fine, exactly. They'll find somebody. But it's obviously a bit unfortunate how it all went, but that's Nelson's choice at the end of the day, and we're going to all respect it, I suppose. Moving on to the next topic that I've got now. So obviously it was 2 days ago when we heard the really upsetting news with Jayden Braley. Obviously, at training he tore his Achilles. And obviously, he's going to miss a long time. That's a 5 to 8 month time period of him missing out on playing footy, which is very upsetting. I believe back in 2020, he had an ACL injury as well and missed a large portion of the season as well. So, yeah, bad luck for Braley, unfortunately. But, obviously Knights going to have a really inexperienced spine now. They've probably going to line up as Jake Clifford and Adam Clooney for the 2022 season in the halves. And the hooker's going to be Chris Randall or maybe a Kurt Mann or something. I don't know. But either way, I think, things – if you thought things looked bad when Pearce left the club, well, there's no Jayden Braley now, and he's very important for that Knights team in the middle as well. So, yeah, Nick, how much of a loss and impact do you think Jayden Braley will be for that Knights team? And do you think Knights season's completely fucked already, in your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the Newcastle Knights are probably one of the most unlucky teams. They have had some terrible injuries over the last couple of years. If you go back to last year and the year before that, they had about 7 or 8 injuries, and they were still winning games. So they're a very tough side. But I'll tell you what, man, losing their hooker, Jaden Braley, is such a big loss. Losing Mitchell Pearce as well to Catalans is another big loss. Ponga's injuries are always a concern with the Knights. Putting all the faith in Jake Clifford and Adam Clunes, it's a very big risk for the Knights. Putting all your marbles on the line with those two who are very inexperienced. Jake Clifford's played enough football now to know better and to be able to take control of that side. But will he, though? That's the real question. He's very inconsistent. I think Newcastle is screwed. I think they're in for a long year now. I think they're going to have a tough year in 2022. I know they're already looking at someone for a loan deal. From what I understand, apparently they're looking at the Bulldogs backup hooker, Sione Katoa. Apparently they're looking at him to come in for a loan deal until Braley comes back. But whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But from what I understand, Newcastle don't really want to go with Kurt Mann at hooker or Chris Randall. They want to try and get someone on a loan deal. So if they can do that, that'll be good for them. Question is, will they be able to get anyone on a loan deal getting this close to the season now? But I'm going to make a bold prediction right now, and I think Newcastle are going to finish probably in the bottom four now with this whole situation. Big loss. Adam O'Brien's a great coach. He's done well the first 2 years there, but he's under the pump already. So big loss for the Knights, and they seem to always be in the top three, top four clubs who have the most injuries. You know, we talk about the Cowboys and the Roosters getting the most injuries last year. Newcastle wouldn't be far behind that as well. So pretty big loss for the Knights. I reckon they're in for a long year.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's just unfortunate timing as well because, you know, it's only a couple of days till NRL starts, and just for him to have an injury like that, you know, it's obviously going to really affect them. And, it's just sad for Braley overall, I suppose. Back with your rumor of Sione Katoa, possibly on a loan deal. Now, I don't want to be harsh or anything, but from the games I saw last year from him, I thought he was really average, to be honest.
Yeah, he was.
He serves some dummy halves pretty bad. You know, I saw many times him passing the ball, just, you know, before he passed the ball to the ground before it went to the player. You know, that's what I saw a couple of times as well. So I'm not really impressed with his service, but, you know, he's experienced. And I guess if that's what Knights want, then that's fair because, you know, I think Chris Randall's young and he's young and obviously, you know, he's a work in progress. But, you know, I guess if Knights want to start strong, we're going to have a bit of experience, you know, to start off with, which is fair.
Well, if you have a look at it as well, if you have a look at it as well with the Bulldogs' point of view, they have Marshall King as their 9. Bailey beyond the Oddie will be probably the 14. If not, he'll be the backup. Yeah. So that leaves Sione Katoa out of the mix. So that's why the rumor of him going to the Knights on a loan deal is a possibility of happening because there's not really any opportunity for him at the Dogs with all the other guys in front of him. So if Sione Katoa goes to the Knights on a small loan deal and proves himself, then maybe he can get himself a better contract somewhere else. But it's only a rumor. It might not even happen. It could all be a bullshit for all we know. But if I was Sione Katoa, I'd be jumping at that opportunity now because Newcastle don't have a recognised hooker. And if you're a hooker out there that's in reserve grade or looking for backup, then maybe the nicest club to go. Even someone like Jaden Barrell, Queensland Cup Player of the Year, he could be another option. I know he's gone to the Sharks, but the Sharks have got McGuinness and Blake Braley there, so I don't see how Barrell's going to get a run. So if you're a young hooker in the NRL right now, or if you're in under 20s or New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup, you're looking at Newcastle going, wow, there's a hooker position open for us down there. Let's go down there and give it a crack. So even though Jaden Braley is a massive loss for Newcastle, I think he's probably the most underrated hooker in the game. It's a good opportunity now for some young kid to come through and just grab that opportunity and take it.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I think someone Jaden Barrell from the start, like I don't understand why they signed with Cronulla for. I can't really understand that because, you know, like you said, at Cronulla he won't get any games there with Braley and McInnes being there. I would have thought he would have signed the Titans because Titans need
all the Broncos,
all the Broncos, yeah. But him going to Knights is a fair shout, I reckon. I reckon, you know, he's a bit too good to play a bit of reserve grade right now, so I would say that. But look, overall, it's an unfortunate situation. You know, I think Braley is a very good hooker. He's someone that's improved the last couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see how Knights do handle the loss to start the season.
Do you reckon they'll make the 8, Newcastle?
No, I can't. I honestly can't. I mean, like I said, if losing Pierce was bad, then it's worse than to lose Braley because that's their dummy half, and he's obviously very key for that middle. So, yeah, it's going to be really unfortunate for the Knights this season. I think it's a long season ahead, personally. I could be wrong in saying that, but just from the outlook of everything, I think it's going to be a long season, unfortunately, for the Knights. On to the next topic. So this week it was announced that Mitch Kenny, the backup hooker for the Panthers, he has re-signed with the club for another 3 seasons. Obviously, this definitely should mean that he's the next player in line to replace Api Koroisau once he departs to the Tigers. Mitch Kenny's not a bad player either. I've seen a couple of games of him, and I think, he is someone that can definitely improve the next couple of years if he gets games and that. So, look, I think it's a smart move by the Panthers, and let's hope he gets games in the next couple of years. I'd like to ask you again, Nick. Do you believe Mitchell Kenny is the future hooker of the Panthers when Koroisau goes to the Tigers in 2023? And do you think this was the right call by Penrith to keep him for long term?
Well, I'll tell you what, though. First thing I'll say is I think Mitch. I kind of feel sorry for Mitch Kenny because last year he played in that qualifying final against Souths, got injured, and did not make the grand final. He was replaced by Tyrone Mays. So Mitch Kenny should have won a grand final last year. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the 17 due to a season-ending injury. But I think Mitch Kenny is doing his apprenticeship right now, still with the Panthers. He's played plenty of games now. I think he's doing his apprenticeship so he can learn off Api Koroisau, learn off someone like Peter Walter, who I believe is still at the club, helping out the hookers and the halfbacks and all that. I think Mitch Kenny is a very, very good, solid player. I think he is the Panthers' future number 9. I believe right now he's still doing his apprenticeship. He's still learning everything he needs to know. The Panthers, once again, putting all their trust in the young juniors, which is a great thing for the club. I think Mitch Kenny is a phenomenal talent, and I think he will be the Panthers' hooker going forward. Now, if Koroisau doesn't get the vaccine, Mitch Kenny might be playing full-time this year yet. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who the hell knows what's going to happen there with Api Koroisau and the vaccine situation. But I think Mitch Kenny's a solid player. I believe he's ready for NRL week in, week out now. But he could even be. We all think he's going to be the hooker for the Panthers in 2023, sorry. He might be the hooker now, depending on Koroisau's vaccine situation. So I think it's a great move from Penrith.
Yeah, well, I agree. Koroisau doesn't take the vaccine, and it's most likely he'll get the sack. That's what I imagine. He'll probably get sacked.
Yeah, probably.
If he doesn't take it. So, anything's possible. I think Kenny should be the jersey 14 as well. Like, I actually reckon he should be the jersey 14. With May being gone now, I think, that jersey 14 spot is definitely Kenny's to lose, in my opinion. So I reckon putting him there would be, the smart choice by the club. But look, to me, like personally, I reckon he's a long-term hooker. I think he will definitely suit really well for that role in the years to come. Made his debut a couple of years ago, I think, and I think he's got better with more games. So I can only imagine, with him being re-signed for the next 3 seasons, he should get better under that Panthers team over time. So yeah, look, I like it. I do like it overall. I think he will definitely get better over time, and I think he's a smart replacement for Koroisau going forward, in my opinion. He's still only like 23, 22, so yeah, long career ahead for Mitch Kenny and that. So I truly support that decision by Penrith. Very good. Before we get into the last topic, just want to give a quick shout out to the chat. I've got 13 people watching here. Just want to say hello to everyone there. Got Metallic Panther, Warriors NRL Fanatics, Luke, England cricket fan, Faraz Alarm has just woken up at 4 o'clock. Wow, okay.
Hang on. What? Faraz just woke up.
That's what he says.
Faraz, mate, what were you doing all night? Watching the cricket or something? You bloody night owl.
Then we've got Sam Revel in the chat. Good to see you, Sam. John Purcell, Jay Lockyer 03 here. I want to say thanks to everyone that's tuned in to watch the podcast. Really do appreciate it. And shout out to the 12 people watching the stream as well. All right, bro. Time to get into the last topic. So I just want to say this is a really new thing. This is just glamour. I see for the 5th and final topic, I used to have something called Numpty or the Numpty of the Week or something to end it off with. Now, I've taken it away because if I want this podcast to be a bit more successful, I'll go and maybe just sort of tone down on the negative stuff, taking aim at other people. Now, I know, like, it's, if obviously you can disagree with someone and say something, whatever you want, but I think just, kind of back off the negative stuff a little bit, just to sort of not really invest too much into that in the podcast. So that's why with the fifth and final topic, it's going to be whenever a new guest is on, I ask a question about their club, whether that's NRL or Super League, but today it's Super League. So obviously you're a Salford supporter in the Super League, Nick. And, I just want to ask a question. Who do you think is the biggest signing for the club in 2022? They've recruited quite a bit. So out of everyone they've recruited, who do you think is going to be the biggest signing for the club and will give the biggest impacts?
Well, I do go for the Salford Red Devils in the Betfred Super League, which is not far away now, about 24 days away until it all gets underway. Once again, I'm really looking forward to the Super League. But where Salford have recruited a lot in the offseason, they have gone to the bank and they have spent a fair bit of money. So who they did gain, they bought King, I can't even pronounce his name, King Vuna Yawaya. They bought Amir Boruf. They bought Setelakai Alakaloa, Mark Snead from Hull FC, Brodie Croft from the Broncos, Shane Wright from the Cowboys, Ryan Braley and Alex Jared from League Centurios. And I bought Dion Cross from Widnes Vikings and Tim Laffey, who was a free agent. And what they did lose, they lost Tui Lolohea, Declan Patton, Paulie, Ato Hingano, Chris Aninu, and Kevin Brown. So they did lose a bit and they did gain a little bit. I think obviously the guys that come to mind for the big signings for Salford, I think you look at someone like Mark Snead, Brodie Croft, Shane Wright, and I guess you could even throw in someone like an Akaloa and Tim Laffey. They're probably the main ones that stand out. But everyone says Brodie Croft is the big signing, and Brodie Croft probably is the best signing for Salford going forward this year. But my favourite pickup is actually the Hull FC halfback, Mark Snead. Now, Mark Snead used to play for Salford a while ago. He was at Hull FC for a while at the Black and Whites, Hull FC. He's now come back to Salford, and Mark Snead's a very good organising halfback. He's a great goal kicker as well. I think Mark Snead's the one where I look at for Salford, looking forward. I'm looking at Mark Snead. I'm going, well, this guy's the one that's going to lead us around the field. Obviously, Tim Laffey might be a good buy as well. Shane Wright in the back row. Brodie Croft. Alakaloa in the front row as well will be very good as well. But I'm looking at this team, and I think the halfbacks, Croft and Snead are the two guys I'm looking at probably the most. I think Snead's a bit better than Croft, but I think they're both going to be great buys for Salford. The only problem I have with it is they're both halfbacks. There's no 5'8". There's no running half 5'8" there. They're both organising halfbacks, which I don't think works in rugby league anymore. I think you need to have a halfback and a running 5'8". You can't have two, controlling halfbacks because I don't think it works anymore. So I think Mark Snead will be a great signing for Salford, and Mark Snead's the one I'm looking at the most, to be honest.
Yeah, now I actually rate Mark Snead. I think when I watched him play, I thought he was actually pretty good. Like, he seems to have a smart kicking game, and he seems to, seems to actually play pretty well. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. He's a good goal kicker as well. So it's a smart pickup by the Red Devils. But again, like you said, I like the point where you said that, two controlling halfbacks don't work, because I believe they don't either. You need a running and a controlling half. So we'll see how it goes, I guess, with Croft and him in the halves. But for me, who I think the biggest signing for Salford is, I reckon it's Sitaleki Akawala. I think that's how you say it. It's a tough name, but I think you know who I'm talking about. He played for the Panthers a couple of years ago in the NRL, and he was at Warrington for a bit, and now he's at the Red Devils. I really rate him. I think he's a damaging front rower. I personally believe he's underrated. He seems to really create and cause an impact whenever he runs the ball. I've always liked him. I just think he's a really quality sort of front rower who doesn't get talked about enough. So I expect him to do some good when he's playing for the Red Devils this year. So I expect big things from Akawala this year. So it should be good. And I think Laffey isn't a bad signing either. Provides a bit of experience in the back line. So I think that can go well as well. But yeah, obviously,
If you
first of
have a
all,
look at Salford, we haven't really had a great, genuine front rower for a while now. Obviously, we had Lee Mossip, who was our captain and our leader and our main front rower. He just retired recently, so we had to go to the checkbook. We had to go buy someone, and I think Alakafoa is a good pickup. I think he'll do very well. And you got to remember as well, Salford, we still got other fools over there, like lots of Elijah Taylor at Salford, who's very experienced. Shane Wright's coming in now, which is going to be very interesting as well. James Greenwood in the back row. Who else we got? Harvey Livett. Plenty of guys there. And if you have a look at the Salford squad, some of our outside backs are some guys that you guys would be familiar with. Ken Seo, he was a top try scorer last year on the wing. Callum Watkins as well. He's at Salford. Dan Sargentson. So like if you have a look at the Salford backline going into this year, I think fullback will be Dan Sargentson. On the wings will be Ken Seo and Joe Burgess. And in the centres, I think it'll be Callum Watkins and Tim Laffey. So it's a very good backline on paper. And then you've got the likes of Croft and Snead in the halves. Taylor at lock with Shane Wright in the back row. Salford, on paper, look okay, but it doesn't matter how they look on paper. It's about doing it on the field, and it's about consistency as well. So we'll see how Salford go this year. But I'm excited for us. I reckon we're a bit under the radar compared to the other teams like Saints and Leeds and all these sort of sides, Catalans and Warrington. I think Salford are a bit under the radar going into this year. We might be around, maybe the same position with Castleford and Huddersfield, maybe around those sort of sides. But hopefully we can make the finals this year.
Yeah, well, since we're on the topic of Super League, just a reminder for those people who haven't seen yet, at 7 p.m, I'll be premiering my 2022 Super League ladder predictions, so make sure to tune in by then. But yeah, I agree. I think Salford are a team that has potential to do something good, and I just want to say good luck to your side this year. I reckon there's potential for them to do something good. I reckon they'll finish around that. Probably around that, maybe 10th to maybe 7th bracket. 6th, they're lucky as well. They could sneak in.
10th would be disappointing, considering last year they came 11th. They came second last. Going out one spot would not be any improvement up whatsoever, in my opinion. I think Salford will finish about 8th or 9th. They have to go up a little bit, and if they don't, well, it's going to be really disappointing. And we've got a new coach as well who'll be under a lot of pressure, and it's probably going to be our last year at the AJ Bell Stadium as well, because we're moving to a different ground, because that ground, we're not going to be playing at that ground anymore after this year. So probably going to be our last year at the AJ Bell Stadium. But a lot of pressure on Salford this year, and if I don't start the year off well, there'll be a lot of question marks already on some of the guys that we picked up in the off-season.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. All right, well, I think this brings an end to the podcast. Just want to give a big thank you to Nick from Australia for joining the podcast yet again. It's always a pleasure to have you on the channel, bro. And I must get you on another time, because this is really good to get you on. And just thank you for coming on overall. Really appreciate it.
Well, no worries, Mr. Pro Enzo Vidz. I'll tell you what though, if you're gonna do if you do a 2022 predictions live stream for the podcast before the season starts for the NRL, I'll be more than happy to jump on for that once again. And obviously, I'll be doing my predictions on March the 1st. That'll be my that's my date for the 2022 predictions, March 1st. So that'll be good as well. And obviously, I'll be inviting a lot of the YouTubers, including yourself, onto my channel for a big season prediction preview where all the big rugby league YouTubers will get together and we'll fucking do this big prediction live stream. And obviously, if you do one for your Ankle Breaker podcast, I'll be more than happy to come on again. So, mate, thanks for letting me come on your show once again. And I'm looking forward to seeing how your channel goes this year, bro. It's going to be a big year.
Yeah, thanks, man. I do appreciate that a lot. Yeah, well, with the next podcast leading up to the footy again, I will do one of a bit of a big preview of the trial matches, previewing the trial matches on that week, so I can get you on.
I think I'll be doing that as well.
Right. Okay, we'll sort out something then by then.
We all will.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you for joining the podcast, and thanks to everyone that's been watching. Make sure you do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and go and check out Nick's channel. I'm sure you know all know who he is already, but if you haven't already, make sure you do sub to his channel. He's link to his channel will be in the description down below after this stream ends. But yeah, again, everyone, this is the episode 11 cutting out now. So see you in the next one. Have a good afternoon.